Welcome to this explainer. If you look up at the sky while you're driving down the highway, you'll probably see transmission lines crisscrossing the horizon. It's incredibly easy to look at those long, sagging cables and just see, well, passive wires, right? Like a simple, boring highway for electricity to get from point A to point B. But actually, that couldn't be further from the truth. The electrical grid is literally a highly dynamic, microscopic battlefield of invisible physical forces. Today, we're going to expose exactly what is happening inside those metal lines.
Have you ever noticed that those massive high-voltage lines are almost never just one single thick cable? Instead, they're usually these clusters or bundles of several smaller wires grouped together. Why go through all that extra engineering hassle to string up multiple wires when, one big one seems like it would absolutely do the trick? Keep that question in the back of your mind, because solving this little mystery is going to unlock our understanding of the entire grid.
Okay, let's look at our roadmap for today. We'll uncover the secrets of transmission lines, look at resistance in the sag phenomenon, and then dive right into the hidden skin effect. From there, we'll check out the engineering fix, bundle conductors, explore magnetic inductance, and finally hit the absolute maximum power transfer limits.
Let's jump right into Part 1, Secrets of Power Transmission Lines. Decoding the baseline.
To really understand how the grid works, we've got to look way past just the physical metal. A power line is actually defined by four core parameters: resistance, inductance, capacitance, and conductance. Now, these aren't just, boring textbook variables. Calculating them is absolutely crucial because they dictate voltage, efficiency, and even how the grid survives a short circuit. Simply put, if you don't know these four fundamental values, you really don't know how your grid is going to behave.
Moving right along to Part 2, Electrical Resistance and Sag Phenomenon, the Heat Threat. So let's talk about our first parameter, resistance. Even highly conductive metals resist the flow of electrons. It's just a fact of physics. And this resistance causes a massive loss of power in the form of heat. Now, as the metal gets hot, it expands, which actually causes the line to physically sag closer to the ground. If grid operators push too much current and hit what's called the thermal limit, well, the metal stretches permanently and it will not shrink back. So the current has to be constantly managed to keep it safely below this dangerous ceiling.
All right, Part 3, the hidden skin effect phenomenon, the internal battle. Resistance gets even weirder when we bring alternating current into the mix. You'd probably assume electrons just flow evenly through a wire, right? Well, they don't. As alternating current flows, it generates magnetic forces from the center, pushing outward. So the center of the wire is actually fighting back against the current, quite literally forcing the electrons to crowd along the outer edge or the skin of the conductor. And this crowding, it has a massive consequence. Because the current is practically ignoring the center of the wire, the effective, usable area of the conductor completely shrinks. And, as we know, a smaller area means higher resistance. This means the actual resistance of a line carrying alternating current is fundamentally larger than the theoretical direct current resistance. The center of a thick wire basically just becomes dead weight.
Oh, and this problem definitely scales up. There are two main factors that really amplify this skin effect. First, a higher frequency of alternating current pushes those electrons even further outward. Second, a larger conductor diameter makes the difference in flux between the center and the edge way more extreme. So if you try to just, build one incredibly thick, giant cable to carry more power, the skin effect is going to defeat you. It'll just turn the entire core of that super expensive cable into completely useless heavy metal.
Which brings us to Part 4, the engineering solution, bundle conductors.
So how do engineers actually solve this? Well, this brings us right back to that question we asked at the very beginning. Why bundles? Because of the skin effect, one massive wire is just incredibly inefficient. By replacing it with a cluster of smaller ones, engineers drastically increase the outer surface area while minimizing that useless inner pore. It's seriously just a beautifully elegant physics hack.
Moving into Part 5, magnetic inductance in lines, the ghost in the wire. Let's shift our focus from resistance over to inductance. There is a hugely common misconception out there that inductance only happens if you coil a wire into a loop. People naturally assume long, straight transmission lines couldn't possibly have inductance. But actually, scratch that. It is completely false. An alternating current flowing through a completely straight line still generates a magnetic field that is constantly expanding and collapsing. As this field cuts through its own wire, it induces a reverse voltage that fights the original current. That right there is called self-inductance, and it gets crazier. When you have two parallel lines sitting on a tower, The magnetic field from the first circuit literally reaches over and interferes with the second circuit, creating what we call mutual inductance.
To really put into perspective just how much physical spacing matters here, consider this completely wild fact. The inductance in wide-open overhead transmission lines is actually about 6 times greater than it is in underground cables. But, on the flip side, because underground cables are packed so tightly together with heavy insulation, their electrical capacitance is 10 times greater than overhead lines. So the physical geometry of the grid completely changes the invisible forces haunting the wires.
Finally, Part 6, Maximum Power Transfer Limits, the ultimate barrier. Zooming all the way out to the macro level, there is a hard, mathematical barrier to how much power two distant stations can actually share across these lines. And the whole thing revolves around one specific absolute number, 90 degrees.
You see, the maximum power that can be transferred relies on the voltages of the two stations and the line's reactance. But here's the real kicker. That entire equation is multiplied by the sine of the angle between the two voltages, which engineers call the power angle. Because it relies on the mathematical sine wave function, the actual power transfer has a strict, locked physical ceiling. No way around it.
If we follow the curve of that math, as the angle between the two power stations increases, the transmitted power goes up, reaching its absolute peak at exactly 90 degrees. But honestly, engineers will never dare push the grid to exactly 90. If that angle drifts even slightly past that peak, the grid instantly enters a highly unstable zone. In that zone, increasing the angle actually decreases the power, which leads to a cascading loss of synchronization and, ultimately, a total catastrophic failure.
So, the power grid is clearly not just a bunch of passive wires hanging on metal towers. It is an incredibly delicate, ever-shifting balancing act of heat, microscopic skin effects, magnetic inductance, and precise voltage angles. If any of these invisible forces slip out of balance, the modern world literally goes dark. So, next time you look up at those bundle conductors, ask yourself, how do engineers constantly monitor and manage these hidden forces every single second to prevent a total grid collapse? I really hope this explainer sheds some light on the invisible physics powering our world. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.